This is one of my favorite shots of me, Shahrukh and Aryan. And I just love this shot because it kind of encompasses
so well.
the family feeling that I have for this family.
This is Karan Johar, one of the most talked about people in the world.
Hi Sarthak, welcome to my home office. All right, let's go upstairs.
And this is us at his home office in Mumbai.
It has mainly, it's just because it's my space, not because I'm some kind of a narcissist or megalomaniac. Mainly these are my working stills. Of me on set, and some of my special moments of me just being caught candid.
You know, or you may know Karan Johar as the ace producer, director, the fashionista. Then there's what the media has told you about Karan, the man who can make careers in the Indian film industry. But on this episode of Founder's Office, we'll try to understand Karan, the businessman.
If you had to give names to your rooms, have you thought about it?
That could be the boardroom, which is the BORED, which is where I'm only bored. Apart from stressful meetings, meltdowns, discussions, creative. So this room has the energy of all natures.
All the drama that Dharma
all
stands
the drama
for.
that Dharma stands for is all happens in this room. Orange is the color of Dharma. So we have it's lucky for me, I'll be told. This is the edit viewing suite mixed with sometimes I do my hair and makeup if I'm getting ready like I did for you today.
He owns Dharma Productions, has expanded into talent management, leads Dharmatic, a content studio that delivers stories for OTTs, and as an entrepreneur, now actively runs companies such as Tiani Jewelry as its co-founder and creative director.
I'm so proud of our brand, Tiani. This particularly is my favorite piece. If I did get married, I would have worn this on a sherwani for sure.
Tiani is a mass premium jewelry brand known for its polki designer jewelry, colored stones with over 11 stores in the country and over 200 crores in annual revenue. We talk about why are movie stars rushing to start consumer businesses? What kind of terms do celebrities come on as co-founders? How much equity should one offer to a celebrity? And why do so many celebrity brands fail to take off? This and a lot more in Founder's Office with Sarthak Ahuja.
I want to learn from you about how today entrepreneurs want to get a celebrity co-founder. How do they look at fitment? But more importantly, what should the deal terms really be like? What makes a fair share of equity? How should one think of deliverables with respect to what a celebrity co-founder should bring in? Should there be annual payouts? Should there be capital gains expectation from an exit point of view? How to structure those deals? And eventually we'll also go into understanding it from the case study of your personal lens of how you look at your contributions and fitment with Tiani Jewels, with say the restaurant that you have and with several other brands. Plus within all of this, I would want to understand more deeply about your entrepreneur hat, which is beyond movie production, but also now in talent agency, which is drifting a little differently. So with that as context, first thing that I was really surprised by is the share of Bollywood or Hindi cinema.
At the onset, before you start, may I say something?
Yes, please.
When the word business acumen is spoken of, and associated with me, I'd like to say that I've always been a creatively driven artist. So at the time when, I was doing a deal with Serum Institute, with Adar Poonawalla, I remember sitting in with lawyers and bankers, and for me, it was a daze. I was like a daze because things like, terminology, exit clauses and pull and I don't know what all they were saying, there was like terminology that was going beyond and everybody, at one point there was a very prolific lawyer and said that, I thought you were a business shark and you're quite stupid because, you don't know anything. And I was like, my instinct is my superpower. So today when I chat, I'm going to talk a lot about what that means to me. But I think really to sell a product successfully, first you have to put your heart in it. Second, you have to have genuine interest in what you're selling. And thirdly, you have to have awareness of your consumer. So that's what I wanted to say on the onset. So if anyone watching this or hearing this is going to expect technicalities coming from me, may not happen, and my apologies in advance. But what I will give you is an insight of what I've picked up.
No, absolutely. And thank you for saying that, because I think our objective would also be to remove all technicalities and really come down to the brass tacks, so the basics and the fundamentals.
Right.
So, okay, my first question is, as an outsider, I see that horror comedy as a genre is really growing. Apart from that, are there any new genres that you would like to bet on which have worked in other parts of the world but haven't worked in India yet, which you think is going to be the future? And if a new director, scriptwriter comes up with a project in it, you are really bullish about, or you're waiting for that time when that genre will take off in India, and you think the time may come in the next, if not immediately, maybe in the next 2-3 years?
To answer your question, what does work? Before that, I have to tell you what's not working. What's not working are these genres, the emotional dramas, the high profile, biopics, the love stories, the rom-coms, the casual, easy, bingy, snack watch films are all actually being consumed hugely on digital and streaming platforms. What people want is high concept. So in any film, if you have a high concept that draws you to the cinema, that's unusual, that you haven't seen. So any film which has a high concept, and not in the emotional space, but in the mythos space, in possibly the, in any kind of universe. Like horror comedy is a very community experience. When you watch it, you're getting scared together and you're laughing out together. So obviously that itself, that community feeling, you don't get while watching a film or consuming a series at home. So the community watch comes with genres like horror. Now, when you ask me which is the one breakthrough genre that India has not succeeded in, it's actually pure horror. We haven't got our Nun, we haven't got our Conjuring, we haven't got that genre. Horror can be hugely breakthrough when you get it right, when it's genuinely scary and genuinely you kind of, not just the jump scares that is gimmicky, but genuinely that feeling of atmospheric horror that we need to get right. That genre has not been successful. The other, strangely, what I think has activated right now is this certain kind of beyond multiplex, like what we used to cater to is to what we call PIC, which is PVR, Inox and Cinepolis, the three big multiplex chains, which are sometimes 50%, sometimes 60%, and in certain niche films, even 70% of the market share. There is a certain mass multiplex, a tier 2 multiplex and a tier 2 single screen that react to a certain kind of cinema that actually Hindi cinema, or rather Hindi cinema mainly, has not been catering to them at all. So suddenly when an Animal comes, or when a Durandar comes, it's catering to that audience that actually has been starved of a certain, they react to machismo and violence and heroic dialogues and alpha energy. And so whether it's Kabir Singh or Animal or Durandar, I'm not slotting them as one kind of film, but there is that front-footed machismo, front-footed alpha energy, rightly or wrongly, and let's not discuss that, that is attractive to a certain audience. So those movies have been working consistently when done right. The anomalies are very few. Like a love story was, like when you make a love story, a rom-com won't work, but intense love stories work. So an Ashiki will work, a Sanyara will work. Intensity in love, people, it's called that, what colloquially is called the Naskata audience, that people who will like die for love. That kind of feeling people love. That tier 2 audience want to watch that kind of film. You know, they want to kind of, the mass audiences, the mass male audiences go for large numbers. Because I always say, women are resilient, women are strong. They will overcome from a broken heart because they just have the wherewithal. Men don't know how to face rejection. So all men only are suffering of broken hearts, and they identify with stories of broken hearts. So all the biggest sad songs are all sung by men, are for men. And you'll be surprised while we talk about male entitlement and male, misogyny, but they are the weakest in love because they don't know how to handle rejection. The moment they're rejected, they go crazy in love, and those stories resonate very deeply. So all these movies have worked, and what's not working are the family dramas, the rom-coms, the emotional dramas. They're just not working. So today, if I had to discuss all this and put it in a bracket, but what no one's talking about is pure horror. That's what I'm betting on next.
You know, there's a very interesting thing I read just a couple of days ago, which kind of ties into what you just told us about suppressed emotions of men, which is why they want to go for all these machismo kind of movies and naskata kind of love stories. They said that in, say, the US market, for so many years, it's almost like women have not seen macho men in their lives, and the entire society was working towards men and women being equal, that now women are taking the role of, say, the alphas, which is why right now they're kind of standing up to ICE and saying, if an ICE officer comes to them saying, are you a citizen or not, there would be a lady who would want to drive off to say, you cannot question me. And where the US culture is going towards women taking that alpha role, do you think in the next 2 to 3 years, that may also come into India as the next generation of emotions that a society evolves with, and suddenly we might see a lot more women-centric movies taking off after this entire wave of machismo movies have kind of
Do you know,
run their course?
I want to tell a couple of things. Here, I think a lot of movies have addressed women empowerment, the inequality between genders. Having said that, there is this alpha misogynistic film that is working is counterproductive to those, because those movies made on pure feminism will always do lesser than the films which are about entitlement. And what the data that throws me off is there are so many evolved liberal women who will speak about these misogynistic alpha men and those films, but there are many more women who are watching these films and loving them. So I get very thrown off by data when I do a research of 100 women and there'll be 20 offended and 80 perhaps not by films that could be offensive to women, who I would imagine my mother would be offended by, or my aunt would be offended by, but there are many women who are not. But what does bring, what you spoke about, going back into women in alpha roles, do you know the 80s, which was considered like possibly the worst phase for Hindi cinema, where, aesthetics took a beating. There were many women-oriented films that worked hugely. Zakhmi Aurat, Khoon Bhari Maang, Phool Bane Angare. Like, I'll tell you, movies that you may not have heard of have all done huge business at the box office, led by Rekha, led by Dimple Kapadia, led by so many prolific actresses. Today, I find that it's lesser. It's weird. We should be more evolved today. But have we taken a back seat? Are we more regressive today? Are we enjoying alpha energy more today? Are we enjoying misogyny more today? And how uncomfortable am I about that today? I'm waiting for alpha to release to answer that question of yours.
Okay. So do you think that as a person, you said you're a big feminist and you've always been, do you feel at times business kind of pushes you towards the market and your creative energies of fulfillment would come from, say, working on another genre for which now OTT kind of becomes a platform? So are you in some way kind of getting to your creative fulfillment through lower budget projects that you would want to do through Dharmatic on OTT to say, this gives me creative fuel and keeps me going as a person?
Not at all.
And why?
I've produced a Kill, which was with a new boy, high concept action, much like a genre film, made on a train with no outdoors, with all new people. And that film traveled internationally, won at festivals. We're making a sequel now. I mean, it was our John Wick that broke through, but it was absolutely a risk to take. I haven't, in fact, what I made for digital has been a lot of fun. Bollywood Wives or Call Me Bae, we've had fun with. These are things that I know that cannot and should not probably work in a cinema hall. But I've never ever made a film that, I can't make this for a cinema hall, I'm going to make this for a digital audience. I don't look at it, content with that lens. I'm a big proponent of cinema. I grew up in a cinema hall. I want to literally die making a movie that I believe in. Unfortunately, we also have to cater to commerce because I have bills to pay. I have overheads to run. I have to balance commerce with art. So I will make movies. I'll fail, I'll succeed, but I will make movies to also make money.
So I want to get to equity-based partnerships, but before I do, just because you advise so much talent on a daily basis, hopefully a lot of people who could be watching this could also be dabbling with content creation today. And a lot of them are insecure because they think the algorithm suddenly bless them and this fame or this monetizable opportunity may not last beyond 3 to 4 years because someone better may come in. There's a lot of insecurity. What would you tell them, or what would you advise them on mistakes that most people make that they could avoid, which could at least make them last this fandom that they may have built or this community? What is advice that you would give after so many years in the industry, which they are unable to see because they're still young?
Couple of things that I'd like to say to, firstly, ask yourself, did I do this because this is the easy way out? Did I do this because I have a smartphone and I can do this from my house and it's the easy way out? And because I've gone sensational or I've gone controversial or I've gone in your face and I've met with followers and likes and engagement, is this an easy way out or is this genuinely my talent? First thing is, if this is your easy way out, then please make sure you have a plan B, because this will not last. This will die. There will be 18,000 others who will come with that same beginning that you had, which is, this was my easy way out. Secondly, you must have a plan B in any case. Because content creation can also lead to immediate digital exhaustion. How much can you keep doing? You have to diversify within what you do. Examples like Tanmay Bhatt started off as a stand-up, then went into, of course, developer. Today, he's a mastermind advisor to some of the leading houses of industry, giving them campaign ideas. He's also diversifying. So you cannot just be making videos and Instagram videos and content on YouTube and think that this is going to last. It'll last 5 years, 10 years, but then what? There will be an exhaustion, you will reach a plateau, and then you will not know what to do. There will be AI and something else will happen, and other technologies will take over, and then at one point you'll say, oh, Instagram is like passe now, who's on Instagram anymore? Yeah. And then what's going to happen? Look what happened with TikTok. It just vanished and everyone moved to Instagram. Instagram now might, in 5 years, we don't know what the future holds for us. So please, everyone make sure that there is a plan B. I know as a filmmaker, I can do various things. Suppose I fail completely. I know that I can do 10 other things because I can diversify within my profession. If you are a startup guy that does well, you can sell that in 3 years and move on to a new startup. You already have plan Bs in your mind. But please know, to every content creator, to every digital creator, please know at the back of your mind, think of two things: diversification and having a plan B.
No, so this brings us to diversification through building a plan B or a business, which a lot of, say, celebrities today are building with operational co-founders or actually building the business, and you are the face for the brand. And a number of them have also failed, or so to say, haven't done as well as the market would expect them to do, even with the backing of a celebrity. Do you think having insider information, it's more a function of failure on the operation side to be able to capitalize on the celebrity? Or do you think it's a mismatch of the celebrity's fitment with what they've decided to partner with, where the audience today does not place trust on a celebrity to bring in another skincare brand because they think, okay, what is the novelty apart from the celebrity being the face for it? Is it operational execution or is it a brand fitment mismatch?
Let me go by a success story, okay? And this is not the brand association we're talking, which is makeup, hair. Let's go back by one of the OG partnerships. And let me tell you what that is, the IPL. Shah Rukh Khan and Kolkata Knight Riders was the first time there was a genuine, amazing master partnership. Shah Rukh Khan also bought a cricket team when it started, decades ago. Look at the valuation today. Why is it? It's because Shah Rukh Khan is obsessed, passionate, and sincerely active about his liaison with KKR. He's not just adding presence in that stadium or like giving his name to that partnership. It's because he strategizes, he engages, he obsesses, he gives hours of his time to that liaison, to that partnership. That is why it is such a profitable venture for him. And that is why it's probably bigger than any business in movies that he is engaged with. So to answer your question, what are the success stories? When you're actually really passionate about what you're selling. You're not just saying, oh, I'm a movie star, I'm beautiful, so I should start like a beauty brand. Or like, I'm a movie star and I should like be associated with a fitness brand because I'm fit. It's not enough. When you don't give your whole and soul and time and energy and so passionately that you know that even if I fail, I know I passionately tried, the consumer catches it. The consumer can tell that there are certain brands that are successful. Katrina genuinely, with K-Beauty, she genuinely engages. I'm telling you the success stories. I know what Alia puts into Edamama. My first thing is, how engaged will you be? How active are you genuinely? Are you fake engaging? Are you just posting videos? Are you just doing live Instagram videos? Are you just adding your name? Are you just doing paid partnerships but not having equity deals with it? Are you genuinely engaged? In the West, whether it's Kim Kardashian or Kanye West or anyone who has a success story, they genuinely believe in what they're selling. Skims is something that Kim Kardashian must genuinely have had at the back of her mind from like time immemorial, that she's gone and made her own belief in. Like today, at one point of time, I thought so much that I should begin my first partnership with streetwear because I love streetwear. But then I realized it's so crazily competitive. And the world had already arrived into India. You know, all the Zaras and H&Ms and the Jack and Jones and everybody had arrived. And I'm like, yaar, I'll be one and winning, which is why I actually pursued and chose Tyani, because I knew that's my passion hugely, because I've grown up surrounded by my mother's obsession with jewelry. I'm half Sindhi, so you must know that where Sindhis are, jewelry matters. And even when my mother wasn't affording and my father wasn't being able to buy her, the money saved at that time in the 70s and 80s was like, when money was saved, when can I buy my wife, or when can my mom buy herself that one tiny piece of jewelry, was the biggest conversation. It was never property, it was never like, it was jewelry. And I remember when my film worked, my very first debut film worked, when Kuch Kuch Hota Hai worked, the first solitaire my mother ever got was because I bought it for her for my first burst of profit that I ever made in my life at age 25. I didn't say I'm going to buy my mother a house because that was too large an investment. Also, it wasn't my first thought. My first thought was diamonds. When can I buy my mother her first pair of diamonds? So jewelry was something that I really wanted to get because it's my passion. I not only wear it as a man, I believe in it, and my mother's a large influence on me. I believed in it, so I engaged with the brand. Just to answer your question, it's really about the success story that is deeply immersed in passion.
So, okay, let's talk about Tyani Jewels, because you brought it up. How do you think, you saw that there was a lot of competition in streetwear, and today there are so many jewelry brands that are coming up because it's a hugely growing market. What differentiates Tyani? Like, how do you think it differentiates apart from Polki? Is there something other than Polki? Because Polki may not be a large market.
Let's go back to Polki. Now realize that our market share is 85% gold, right? 10 or 12% is studded jewelry. Polki is negligible and mismanaged. But getting it right can be hugely profitable. Because I realized that Shravan, who already had Satyani, was getting Polki right by quality, by sourcing it from the deep anvils of Rajasthan, deeply interested. Like, Shravan is an artist first and a businessman second. He looks at pieces at the best quality Polki and makes the most stunning jewelry and we are not, he and I discussed it. I said, I don't want to be part of a luxury brand, because immediately I know luxury will not sell to those numbers initially. We are a mass premium brand. We are premium, but we also want to penetrate deep. So that's why I call ourselves a mass premium brand. I wanted to make Polki center stage because I wanted to combat the jewels, the gold and the studded jewelry market with Polki, which has huge drama. See, Sarthak, I'm a big believer in drama because that's the cinema I sell. Drama. Polki is drama. Jewelry, that is diamond studded jewelry, and gold is always an investment. Okay, I was never targeting the investment nature of it. Studded jewelry is like for the niche, the elite, the high end. I was like, how do I create drama and how do I sell? So I looked at Tyani as my Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, which was high on drama, high on ostentatiousness, and yet somewhere connectively, deeply connective, emotionally to the fabric of our nation, to the families of our nation. That's what I think Tyani is. And that's why I saw that our Polki was not only high in quality, but also hugely affordable. So, and today what has happened is, why Tyani has been such a huge success story is because a family would rather put in a lot of money into the experience of a wedding, the location, the destination. So everyone talks about the wedding for years and spend lesser on costume and jewelry. As compared to what it used to be, let's make the biggest lehenga, which is like a crore or 50 lakhs, and let's spend money on jewelry and let's have a really lovely wedding. Now people are spending 70% of their money on the wedding, which is not costume and not jewelry. So now that's where Tyani steps in. Because Tyani can give you a set in say 20 lakhs that can look like a crore. So to the naked eye, whenever I've given a big piece to anybody, they're like, oh God, what does this cost? Is this a crore or a crore and five? I'm not telling them this is actually 28 lakhs or this is 32 lakhs or this is 22 lakhs. But it looks like a crore. We are masters of that kind of, let me call it beautiful illusion.
Making it look grand.
Making it look grand. Because what is a set? A set is a home, but it's actually a set. It looks beautiful, but you aspire to be in a home like the Raichand mansion in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. Tyani is pure Polki. It's pure gold. It's everything. It's beautiful stonework. It's beautiful craftsmanship. It's culturally rich. It's heritage based, but it's giving you at a mass affordable rate, which is why I call it mass premium. And that's why within 3 years, we saw this huge growth. We saw our potential top line, we saw the bottom line grow. Our aspiration, we are at 25 crores, we're going to eventually aspire to be 40 bottom line, 50 bottom line, and maybe eventually 2,000 crores. That's the journey, and we'll get there in 2 years because we're already at 12 stores, and we're already at 12 stores, and we plan to be 40 or 50 by the financial year 27-28, and that's the big dream. But we want you to be happy paying us. We don't want you to feel like we burnt your pocket or we deep dive into your pocket. We want you to be able to show off with reason and with every season.
So would you say this is going after the wedding market and making it more accessible and grander for people, but it limits it to that occasion where people actually end up spending the most amount of money? So you don't want to go towards everyday wear?
I'm not chasing just the wedding market. I'm chasing the everyday market. Women today are not just buying jewelry for weddings. They're buying jewelry for every occasion because that is what is, because they want more, but at affordable rates. Maybe they've got like a raise. They want to buy a jewelry, birthdays, anniversaries, Valentine's Day, weddings. It's not just jewelry market is not just restricted to one occasion anymore.
But then does polki fit in every day in some way, or are you changing
because it's
that?
Modern polki. We're bringing in diamond, we're bringing in ruby and diamonds, we're bringing in, for example, this is kind of not polki. We're bringing in, like, this is a combination of stones and gemware mixed with gold and jewelry. We're making it modern. You see, so many of our pieces are beyond polki. They're doing well for everything. And our pieces, which is 1 lakh to 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, can actually be celebrated. It's not just polki, we're going beyond it. Polki specifically, like for example, the Chand Bali, we've made like the Chand Balis, which are a hugely selling product, can be worn on 18 different occasions through the year. Those Chand Balis had young girls wear no other jewelry, where they wear the Chand Bali, they wear a salwar kameez, a Chand Bali, they look immediately dressed up. So I'm like, we're chasing lots of occasions with our jewelry. Of course, polki is associated, the large polki sets are associated with shadi, engagement, roka, reception. But we have so many pieces that actually augur well with every single occasion of the year. And that's what we're going for. And that's what we've been successful at.
You mentioned you're growing Tiani to 40-50 stores in the next 2 years. How is this growth really coming? Is it like, are these COCO operated stores where it's company owned, company operated? Are you doing franchisees? Is there an equity partner?
Right now we're over 8 franchise stores, and I think it's a combination of the two, where because we're penetrating deeply into tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and I think that's where sometimes you seek that franchise kind of a collaboration, because there are people who understand the need of the market and their audience base locally, and that's why we seek those kind of franchise ownership patterns. Because I think it's deeply immersed in everyone's local understanding of the market. Sometimes, like say Bombay and Delhi, Hyderabad, these are markets we completely understand, we relate to, we have a ready infrastructure, we have an understanding. But sometimes when you go deeper into the country, whether it's Surat or Lucknow or deeply into pockets of Punjab and the South and the Madhya Pradesh and all over the country, that there is a certain local expertise and local understanding that we lean on. And those people have already had stores in that zone, in that genre of product like jewelry. They have an understanding of what sells, what doesn't sell. So that's where we depend on franchise. So there will be a combination of the two. Self-owned, of course, will be maybe 25 to 30%, 70% will be franchised.
But do you think the design language or the portfolio selection would also change for each location depending on which the franchise partner would pick?
You'll be surprised that the market demand is so different from the north to the south.
Yeah, I'd love to know some differences if you've seen any across markets.
Well, I've noticed that the Delhi markets respond very deeply to the large-scale polki pieces, whereas the Hyderabad market responds even to our statement rings and more, and some things that are subtler but larger in value. So they are recently reacting more. Of course, the South loves gold, and that's not what we do initially. But like the projection, our statement pieces do very well in Hyderabad, but our large-scale polki pieces do better in the north.
But Chennai would be a tough market given it's broadly gold, and maybe to educate them on polki would be tough.
It's called derivative purchase, and I'll tell you what that is. You derive your need for something from seeing the demand from it somewhere else. So you have, everyone in Chennai may have cousins, relatives living in Hyderabad they talk about your brand, and then you derive from that information and you begin purchasing. So while you're an organic gold buyer, but suddenly you're seeing an excitement for certain pieces of jewelry from your friends in other parts of the country, and therefore you start leaning towards. So we've got huge demand coming on from even Chennai, which is driven mainly 90%, 95% is a gold-driven market. But they are deriving their desire for Polki pieces from what they hear. Word of mouth, like it works in cinema, it also works in retail.
Okay. With this, imagine there are so many business owners today who are looking for a celebrity face. And then the confusion that comes up is the equity that the celebrity is asking for at times may seem unreasonable to the founder who's building it operationally. And to the celebrity, it may be a question of opportunity cost, saying, I will completely block out this category from taking ads for it, which is why maybe a 10, 15, 20% may be reasonable. So, because you do this for a living in your talent management agency, you guys seek out deals and you make it happen. As an industry standard, what do you think is a reasonable range that should be offered by a founder to a celebrity, and in return for it, what kind of deliverables should they be definitely seeking on paper to say it is getting my money's worth for it? Or I don't know if it's an incorrect question in some way, but
no, I think it really differs from deal to deal and from association to association. I think when you are starting at the top, creating a brand, giving it your time and energy, then you can't have just sweat equity or just 2 or 3%. Then you should have a larger. But if it's already set up, and it's already successful, and they know that you can contribute to it, then of course, then sweat equity can be given to you, or a tinier percentage, because it's already staged and set up. But if you're at the onset, if you're right at the beginning of the brand, like Alia and Edamama,
or Super You and Ranveer.
Or Super You and Ranveer,
Correct.
It started like right at the top, right at the beginning, then you have to have a larger percentage.
And how much do you think that should be?
It can range from 10, depending on the strength of the brand, the reach, the growth, year on year, the potential business plan. It could range from 10 to 20 to 25%. Rarely have I seen it been more than that. I mean, when it's 50%, then I wonder where that's going, because that's like, what's in it for the founder then,
Correct.
But I think that like 25% has been the upper end that I've heard of, where there's huge participation levels. 25 to 30% I think would be the ceiling. But when you come in later and you come in as like sweat equity or tiny percentage, that's also, and I have a lot of sweat equity in places where I'm doing it a subtle way you won't even know that, I have equity in these.
Or you're opening doors and being like a strategic partner in some way, where you kind of open up distribution or access to them, which otherwise may not be available.
Yeah, like for example, I have a tinier percentage in the restaurant business because that was set up by those partners, but I know lifestyle is a part of my reputation, and I deeply believe in that entire brand. And so it depends on where you came. You came in after the place was set up, the logistics were set up, the infrastructure was set up, then you came to add value as because you're a lifestyle expert, and you come in because it is something you believe in. But it's all different. Each deal is different from the other.
So do you think getting an equity partner, for example, like the Poonawala family that you had, helps you take a lot more experiments?
I think this was a move towards diversification, but with him it's a balance. I'm sure at some point he's looking for an exit out of this deal, because he is a businessman and this is a business, right? And he is. But also I think he was a lover of the arts. But he is very clear, maybe the return at that point after 8 or 10 years or however when he's looking at is not magnificently huge, but enough to have satiated him, to have satiated his creativity, or rather his diversification need, as well as given him that kind of glory, which, look, at the end of the day, what do we say about cinema? And it's naam bada, darshan chota. You look at my bank balance, I'm nothing compared to like a gazillion business heads. But there is a love that people have for the work we do, a legacy of love we leave behind. I leave behind stories, and that kind of glory you get cannot be monetized. My contribution in the last 31 years, you can't put money to it. I may live a certain life and project a certain lifestyle, but please look at my accounts. And then you'll know that ye to kya hai, ye to sirf, as I said, naam bada hai, darshan chota hai. But eventually, नाम मैं कभी पावर के साथ एसोसिएट नहीं करता ना, बट नाम मैं इज्जत के साथ एसोसिएट करता हूँ. एंड आई ऑलवेज कहते हैं कि इज्जत जो है ना, वो प्यार का भी बाप है. Reputation and respect is so much bigger than love. And when you earn that and gain that, that's more than any kind of IP can give me, more than any kind of fiscal year can give me, a return on investment can give me. Today when people say that, I was so moved, I watch Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham every Diwali with my family, and I'm like, my job is done. Like, what am I waiting for? So I think Aadhar has balanced this love, this equity, this respect with an interest in monetary payback eventually. I think it's a balance for him, like it is for me.
Now, in the same vein, there are two other deals that we're hearing about. One is, of course, that XL has had with Universal, I believe, and the other is, say, Saregama and Bhansali Productions.
Yes.
There is an incentive of monetizing unmonetized music-related IP. Am I reading it correctly? Or how are those deals being structured, which is very different from what you have got? I just want to understand what's really happening in the industry.
I think there was a need for everyone to be self-sufficient. I think he just was bogged down perhaps by the system of going to a streaming service with every film, seeking a musical partnership, getting best value. I felt like he felt that let me find a home where I'm talking about the Bhansali and Sanjeev Goenka partnership. I think that was more for Mr. Bhansali's comfort. He felt comfortable, like I feel comfortable with other. There was a comfort. With the XL Universal partnership, I think it's a larger game. It's a 30% ownership right now.
Yeah.
It's also for all musical rights, but also Universal wanted to diversify into filmmaking, not going about it on their own, because I think they believed XL are masters and craftsmen of storytelling, and I think they wanted to kind of diversify and do that with already existing minds. Theirs was a different kind of a coming together, I think. So I think every film house will do a deal. Today I read about Mr. Nadyadwala wanting a partnership with an international conglomerate. I think so. Every partnership that you spoke about have a different kind of. I think Mr. Bhansali seeks comfort. Universal seeked diversification, whereas XL was seeking obviously at their end probably comfort, and that's why not the 50 but the 30. And I think it's a beginning of what could be a larger partnership. But I realize older studios, homegrown studios are all seeking this comfort so that they can take their chances and not go through this process of this buying and selling that you need to do to make movies. Like 10 rent कर लिए हमने घर, थकान हो जाती है कि बार every 2 years you're moving from one rented space to another. Let me buy my own home.
I think that's a fabulous analogy.
That is, I think, what these partnerships are all about, just buying your own home.
To this, when I look at it as an industry outsider, purely from a business lens, okay, we see Universal wanting to get into movies. We know you have now a talent agency where you've got people or talent, which is not movie first, it's sports, it's content creators, you're entering into advertising. Do you think this vertical integration or horizontal integration is essentially a sign or a result of the fact that the overall industry is not growing? So everyone who's an existing player is thinking, can we enter into ancillaries to kind of consolidate more profit pools here, make more money, which is kind of worrying either for the overall movie industry, or it goes to show that the money that we used to spend in producing content now is unsustainable. It doesn't make sense because there are so many newer players who are doing it from the comfort of their homes as content creators or low budget people, or kind of just putting it out for free on social media, which has been a very big competitive force to have led to all these deals now happening?
I think when I started the talent management vertical, it was more about because talent management comes to me naturally. So firstly, you cannot get into talent management if you're not a people's person. Because talent management is 90% handling people, egos, insecurities, and it's not easy. Let me tell you, if you look at talent management as a business opportunity, nothing's going to happen. I love it. I don't know why, because it's a thankless job. Sometimes you're spending hours, and then there are always, nobody's really loyal. Every 2 years, people are shifting from one agency to the other because, as I said, they are so insecure and they feel we are time bound. Oh, it's not happening here, let me go there. Let me not happening there, go there. So nobody's loyal in this business. Actors just keep hopping and skipping. So you put 2 years of your life into talent and then they suddenly move to somebody else and then they don't like it, then they want to come back to you, and this is a vicious circle. So what you can do is within talent management, you have to look for equity investments, which is what many of the agencies are doing. They're finding equity partnerships with their talent and they themselves are jumping on that. So they're saying, oh, you take this much, we are taking this much, and we are part of this like star-led or actor-led or celebrity-led equity partnership. So a lot of them are started like setting up films. They started this, like for example, I know Collective has a whole division that is setting up feature films, you know, and they're also leading with their partnership with Nikhil Kamath doing equity investments. Right. So just commission on artists is going to give you nothing because artists are nobodies. They're absolutely nobodies. वो किसी के नहीं है. So you have to kind of within that vertical build other equity-based partnerships, set up feature films, set up projects. All that can be therefore monetizable and much more monetizable. But just commission on actor or artist, and I feel after being in the business for 31 years that I've become zen about like success and failure, because I feel like my joy and sorrow cannot be a result of my success and failure, because then I'll be in an ICU, literally.
Okay. Also, my last question would be, if someone if a founder or a business owner is looking for a celebrity face and thinks they're on the roster of Dharma, what is the right way for them to approach the celebrity? Should it be direct, or is there like an open channel that people are typically not aware of or have been lazy to not check? What would be the right route to pitch to a Dharma to say, we've got this amazing business which could be a great brand fit to one of your talents, and how can we make this deal happen? That's one. And second, today, because you're working with content creators, what is the path for the right creator to see the right fit with a talent management agency like Dharma to say, let me take this channel to pitch my case? Or is it all outbound and you would not invite inbound?
No. We're absolutely open. It's the easy way is to go to the head of our agency, who kind of like is very hands-on. Uday Singh Gauri heads the agency, which is DCAA now, which is Dharma Collab Artist Agency. We are very approachable. I'm very approachable. If through anyone get me a number, I've spoken to so many founders, so many people who have called me directly. I put them on to the right person. If I see the opportunity is huge, you know, it's happened to me on various occasions where some people think that, oh, I could be inaccessible. I'm perhaps the most accessible person you'll find. Uday is the most accessible. So please call us directly. We'll put you onto talent that is exclusive and maybe not exclusive to us, who we can take it to. And it's happened. We've taken so many partnerships to actors who are not in our roster. But we have those associations. I have those associations. I have huge equity with actors and celebrities in the business because I've known them for decades. You know, for example, there are some actors like, say, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, who's not in any agency, or Mr. Akshay Kumar, who's not in any agency, but I have a one-on-one with them. So if there's a huge opportunity, I can take it to them if I see merit in it myself. If first I understand that, okay, I will not bother Shah Rukh till I see this is massive. And him getting into this can be huge for him. He's always all ears, as are many other celebrities.
Wonderful. I think thank you so much for making the time, for educating us on not just how consumer shifts are happening in media, but also how celebrities could look at partnerships to really build their equity with businesses in the future. And thank you for making the time and hosting us here in your beautiful office.
Thank you. This is, well, it's just my my humble, simple office. That's just where I work out of. So my creative ideas can flow. Thank you so much for flying in to do this, Sarthak. It really means a lot to me. Have been watching your videos, and really, I love that you have such a dynamically positive approach to what you do, where it's not coded by sensationalism or controversy, but by pure fact and pure insight. And I think I appreciate that a lot, as does everyone who watches you. And that's why you've grown from strength to strength. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We may continue to see a flood of new brands from celebrities, but what doesn't change is the promise to bring you more insights per minute in Founder's Office with Sarthak Ahuja.